Shema Israel Asher Eloheinu Yahweh Echad. Vahafta et Anat Elohecha ובכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך וחיו הדברים האלה אשר נוחי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך וחיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך וחיה כי ביך ירא לבך אל הארץ אשר נספה אל אבותיך לאברהם ליצחק וליעקב לתת לך ערים גדולות וטובות אשר לא בנית ובתים מלאים כל טובה אשר למילאת וברות עצבים אשר לא עשת והקרבים וזיתים אשר לא נתת והלכת ושבת הישמר לך פן תשכח את יהוה אשר תישך מארץ מצרים מבית עבדים. Good morning, Sarah. Good morning for the second time, I suppose. The words that we say, they can be translated as, listen, Israel, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. Listen, people of the northern kingdom, our God in the southern kingdom is the same as yours. If you're gonna historically instantiate it, could mean any number of things. 6 words, very enigmatic. 3 of them mean literally nothing. Listen, Israel. Name one. Like, okay. Why don't you base a religion off of that? Sounds good. So you need a little bit of interpretation in order for that to make sense. So the Deuteronomists, they added a corollary. And they said, Vahafta, and you shall love Yahweh Eloheinu with all your heart and all your soul and all your might. And these words that I am repeating to you today, teach them to your children and recite them when you wake up and when you go to bed and when you are traveling and when you are at home. And you shall inscribe them as a symbol on your hand and let them serve as a sign on your forehead and inscribe them on the doorposts of your houses and on your gates. Alright, so here, Israel, name is one. What do you do with that? You repeat it over and over and over again. Repeat your monotheistic phrase. Just repeat it over and over, because Yahweh likes to hear his name. Repeat it until maybe you have some profound theological experience where you realize that truly all is one. But still have to ground it in the world, because when Yahweh Eloheinu brings you into the land that he swore to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to assign to you, or rather when your fathers' wrote down that some name that they had come up with had promised you that land, remember, when you enter those great and flourishing cities that you did not build, and houses full of all good things that you did not fill, and hewn cisterns that you did not hew, and vineyards and olive groves that you did not plant, and you ate your fill, take heed that you do not forget Yahweh, who freed you from the land of Egypt, the house of bondage. Remember that if you come up with a divine reason for your occupation of the land, remember that someone else might have an equally valid divine reason to steal the land back from you. And that is how history will be made. What a prayer. I'm going to run out of water. Remember the fowls of the air, for neither do they reap nor do they sow, and yet God feeds them. Where's that? Did Paul write that? Sounds like something Paul would write. What an interesting man. I was listening to a lecture. There's another TikToker who does religious scholarship that I think is really fantastic. His name is Dan McClellan. You should check out his stuff. He does like really thorough, like Matt 626. Cool. Yeah, Den McClellan does very thorough scholarship on Southwestern Asian religions in the years before and after Christ. Why am I bringing that up? Oh, right. I attended this lecture that he gave about homosexuality in the Bible. And he made this point that, like, a lot of the statements about sex in the Bible were written by Paul, and Paul was unabashedly or dogmatically celibate. And it made me wonder, like, where did the celibacy theme enter Christianity from? Like, I think it started with Paul. Like, I don't know how he got these ideas about how celibacy can bring you closer to God, right? I mean, like, clearly it was very effective, right? If you have a class of celibate clergy, they're going to be more dedicated to their priestly duties because they're not distracted by other things. At least that's the ideal. But, like, where did that come from? Did Paul come up with it? Was it just like Paul just, like, saw the Holy Spirit and was like, all right, no more sex for me? Or, like, was that a meme floating around in the Levant prior to Jesus and Paul? Like, where did celibacy come from as a theological tenet? I would like to know. So you can find out. Let me know. Hi, Kumar. Kumari Sharma. Hi. Good morning. So, and good morning, Dr. Punk. And good morning, Courtney. How are you all doing today? Hi, it's so nice to see you. Thanks for being here. So, we have been reading this book, The Descent of Ishtar, which actually contains multiple translations, right? There's an Akkadian version of The Descent of Ishtar, and then there's the Sumerian version of The Descent of Inanna, and we finished both of those, and now we're dealing with the aftershocks of Inanna's descent. Because when she returns to the land of the living, the Gala surround her and they say, you can't come back from the land of the living. You can't come back to the land of the living unless you trade someone to go to the land of the dead. And, there's a repetitive sequence because these myths are very repetitive. And should we take your friend? No. Should we take your son? No. Should we take your other son? No. Should we take your husband? Yeah, fuck that guy. And so then Dumuzi goes fleeing. He flees the Gala demons, and Utu changes his hands and feet into snakes so that he can flee the demons. What an incredible image, yeah? Snake on my hand. I think it's important. And so now we're in the dream of Dumuzi, where Dumuzi is fleeing, and he has this terrible dream, and he tells his dream to his sister, Geshtinana, not to be confused with Inanna, even though Inanna is also his sister. It's, the names, they get convoluted. And so he tells this dream to to Geshtinana, rather, and Geshtinana's like, why did you tell me that dream? That's a terrible dream. You're gonna fucking die. That's what she says. And we can continue from there. She had hardly finished these words when Dumuzi called, Sister, climb up the hill with all speed, yet do not wander with a regal tread. But run, sister, for the Gala are here. Both cursed and dreaded by humanity, they are arriving now within the boats. With them is wood to bind the hands. With them is wood to clamp the neck. So, sister, run swiftly. Geshtinana ran up the side of the hill. With her went the friend of Dumuzi, and Dumuzi called, See them yet? His friend said, They're on the way. The short Gala carrying with them wood to bind the hands. The tall Gala carrying with them wood to clamp the neck. They are on their way to capture you. And Geshtinana cried out, Brother! Swiftly, drop your head into the grass. Your demons are on their way for you. Dumuzi then spoke to them, saying, O my sister, please do not reveal to anyone my hiding place. O my friend, do not reveal to anyone my hiding place. I shall conceal myself within the grass. I shall conceal myself in the little plants. I shall conceal myself in the big plants. I will conceal myself in Arali's gullies. Geshtinana and the friend of Dumuzi answered, saying, O Dumuzi, if we did reveal to anyone your hiding place, then may your dogs consume us, both your black shepherding dogs and your royal pedigreed hounds. Then may your dogs consume us. Okay. Then the short Gala said to the tall Gala, You motherless and fatherless Gala, you who are without sister or brother or wife or children, you who hover above the heaven and earth like watchers, you who hang close to the man's side, you who reveal no bias, who cannot discern good from evil. That sounds pretty good. No bias. They are not biased, those demons. They don't know good nor evil. Tell me, has anyone seen a scared man with a carefree soul? Ought we then seek for Dumuzi within his friend's house? Should we then seek Dumuzi at his brother-in-law's house? Let us rather seek Dumuzi in his sister Geshtinana's home. And the Gala were pleased with this, and they went forth to locate Dumuzi, and they arrived at Geshtinana's house and shouted at her, "Tell us your brother's whereabouts!" Geshtinana refused to answer them. Thus they made their way to the water gift. Thus they made the offer of the water gift to her, and she refused it. And they made the offer of the grain gift to her, and she refused it. The heavens were presented, and the earth was presented, and still Geshtinana uttered not a word. You cannot bribe Geshtinana. Thus they ripped off her garments. So much nudity in these stories. Why are they ripping off her garments? They ripped off her garments. They poured pitch on her genitals. Oh my god. They poured pitch on her genitals. Okay, that took a direction I was not expecting. Thus they ripped off her garments, they poured pitch on her genitals, and still Geshtinana uttered not a word. Then the short Gala said to the tall Gala, "Has there been anyone since time began who ever knew a sister that divulged her brother's hideaway? Rather, let us proceed to the home of the friend of Dumuzi." The Gala went to the friend of Dumuzi, and they made the offer of the water gift to him. He received it. You can bribe Dumuzi's friend. They made the offer of the grain gift to him. He received it. You can bribe Dumuzi's friends. And they did not have to pour pitch on his genitals. So they informed him, so he informed them, Dumuzi is concealed in the grass. However, I don't know the exact spot. And thus the Gala looked for Dumuzi within the tall grass, but they were not able to uncover him. The friend said, Dumuzi is concealed in the little plants. However, I don't know the exact spot. Sorry. Thus, the Gala looked for Dumuzi within the little plants, but they were not able to uncover him. And the friend said, Dumuzi is concealed in the large plants. Sorry, I misled you. However, I don't know the exact spot. Thus, the Gala looked for Dumuzi within the large plants, but they were not able to uncover him. And the friend then said, Dumuzi is concealed in Arali's gullies. Dumuzi lay low within Arali's gullies. You can look for him there. And in Arali's gullies, the Gala seized Dumuzi. Dumuzi went ashen and began weeping and bawled out, My sister has brought me salvation, but my friend has brought me death. So when the child of my sister is errant upon the highway, let that child be safeguarded, let that child be blessed. But when the child of my friend is errant on the highway, let rather that child go missing, let the child be damned. Then the Gala demons encircled Dumuzi. They bound his hands and clamped his neck. They battered the husband of Inanna. And Dumuzi lifted up his arms to heaven, and to Utu, the god of justice, he implored, Utu, my brother-in-law, I married your sister, who betrayed me. It was I who brought the meal into the temple. It was I who carried the nuptial gifts to Uruk. It was I who kissed upon those blessed lips. It was I who sported on the sacred knees, Inanna's knees. O God of Utu, God of uprightness and boundless compassion, please alter my hands that they are like those of the gazelle. Please alter my feet that they become like those of a gazelle, which can pull out of stalks. Set me free from my demons and allow me to flee to Kubiresh. And the compassionate Utu was guided by Dumuzi's plea. Thus he altered his hands to become like those of the gazelle. So too he altered his feet to become like those of the gazelle. And Dumuzi escaped from his demons, fleeing to Kubiresh. And so the Gala said, We will go to Kubiresh. And the Gala went and came to Kubiresh. And we will have to pause there. And we will read about whether Dumuzi can escape the Gala demons a second time tomorrow. I wouldn't say these stories have the same level of nuance as modern stories, but there's something that I find very comforting about the repetition, right? Like, Dumuzi says his dream, and then Geshinana's like, oh, let me repeat your dream point for point. Right, like everything happens twice, and it's because these are clearly from an oral tradition. Like, they have been written down, right? Like, the texts we have were written down, but they were originally oral stories, right? In a time before there were screens, before there was anything like that, so they have a kind of rhythm to them. And I find the rhythm very comforting. So. That we will say Arati and then Kaddish. Isn't it? Repetition is comforting. 100% action all of the time. But like very slow action, like action that's been crystallized into stone tablets. J.R. Popo, I will post more videos, I promise. I have to finish this thesis project. It's taken me 9 years. It causes me undue suffering. But when I finish writing my thesis, I will post more videos just for you. Okay? Right, yes, there's no interludes for character building. The characters, they're fairly flat. They just go from one trial to another. Like, why does Inanna betray him? Why does Dumuzi's friend betray him? Dumuzi's friend doesn't even have a name. They don't bother to name him. It's just like, oh yeah, that guy. He shows up in the story just to be a betrayer. It's totally there, even though it's weirdly concise and brief. How so? So, yes, the side people are very flat. But like the Gala demons, I love that line, right? They know neither good nor evil because they can differentiate not between them, right? Like the Gala, they are the neutral force of death, right? Right? Like Inanna leaves. And so there's an imbalance in the land of the dead, like a capacitor, right? There's a charge on one side, and so the forces of death come to claim Dumuzi, and it's not because Dumuzi did anything wrong. It's just they need balance. They can't differentiate good from evil. They're all the same. It's nice to see you too, Joanna. How are you? Yes, there's the short one and the tall one. Yeah, they're like Disney villains or like Disney sidekicks or. I don't know. You see that a lot. Like I think in I don't know. So many cartoons have that. Like the short, fat one, Timon and Pumbaa, right? Where they're basically the same character except there's two of them. So like you give them different geometries. Yeah. Well, the story. Like I don't know the specific details of the tablets that what's his name, Timothy Stephanie was translating. Like I believe these were found in the library of Ashurbanipal, right? So Ashurbanipal was an Assyrian king in like the 700s BC, even though like the original tablets that were found further south date to like thousands of years before that. So like not only like the stories they evolve with time and people add things and subtract things and like there's no one authoritative version. Like I'm reading you this one because I found it on eBay, but I'm not enough of a scholar to know like the differences between one form and the other. But yeah, the stories, they change. Details get added or subtracted. There is this interesting thing, like quite particularly, a difference between the descent of Inanna and the descent of Ishtar is that Inanna is resurrected by the Kugara and the Galatur, who are very explicitly non-binary, whereas Ishtar is resurrected by a bright boy. So at some point in the 2,000 years of this story being retold, the people in power decided that having non-binary heroes was unacceptable. Instead, they replaced them with a sexy boy. But, you know, so it goes. Either is fine. So... Good morning, Kaylee. How are you? Let's say Arati. Arati means flame. Here we have our little flame. It's important. Do. I'm doing quite well today, Kaylee. I got a lot of sleep. So I'm streaming late. Jaya Arati Vina Vinayaka Vina Vinayaka Shri Ganesha Jaya Arati Subramanya Subramanya Kartikeya Jaya Jaya Arati Venugopala Venugopala Venuola Papa Vidura Navanita Chora Jaya Jaya Arati Venkantaramana Venkantaramana Sankataharana Sitarama Radhe Shama Jaya Jaya Arati Gauri Manohara Gauri Manohara Bhavani Sankara Sambasada Shiva Uma Maheshwara Jaya Jaya Arati Raja Rajeshwari Raja Rajeshwari Tripura Sundari Mahalakshmi Mahasaraswati Mahakali Mahashakti Jaya Jaya Arati Anjaneya Anjaneya Hanumanta Jaya Jaya Arati Dattatreya Dattatreya Trimutriyavatara Jaya Jaya Arati Adityaya Adityaya Bhaskaraya Jaya Jaya Arati Sanischaraya Sanischaraya Bhaskaraya Jaya Jaya Arati Sankarachaya Sankarachaya Advaita Gravi Jaya Jaya Arati Sadgurunata Sadgurunata Shivananda Jaya Jaya Arati Vishnu Devananda Vishnu Devananda Vishnu Devananda Jaya Jaya Arati Agastya Munaye Agastya Munaye Shriyama Priyaye Jaya Jaya Arati Ayappa Samine Ayappa Samine Dharma Shastave Jaya Jaya Arati Jesus Grave Moses Grave Buddha Grave Jaya Jaya Arati Muhammad Grave Guru Nanak Grave Samastya Grubho Namaha Jaya Jaya Arati Venugopala Natatra Bhati Natandrakaratam Nimavidyobhati Kutoyamagni Twameva Bantamanabandi Sarvam Tasya Basya Samidam Vivanti Om Gange Kayamane Kaiva Govari Saraswati Narmade Siddhikarveri Hiyaha Namastitam Namo Namaha Twameva Mata Chapita Twameva Twameva Bandusha Saka Twameva Twameva Vidya Dravinam Twameva Twameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Kayena Vacha Manasendriyarva Buddhyatmanava Prakrite Sabhavad Karomi Adyad Sakalam Parasmahe Narayanayiti Sarmar Payami Savadamam Pravichaya Mimikam Savadam Braja Am Sva Sarva Papayo Mokshayami Masucha. Whatever actions I perform with my body, speech, mind, senses, my nature, my intellect, or my emotions, all these, I dedicate to you, to everyone here, and everyone not here, to all of you. Because what are we doing if we are not dedicating our lives to one another? Thank you for the rose, Joanna. I appreciate that. Lilutamavet. Yeah, so the rules are, I'm not allowed to feed the trolls, because that could descend us into madness, but you can feed the trolls all you like. You're more than welcome to bicker with them. I could also make you a moderator, I suppose, but it doesn't really matter. So, now it is time to conclude, and we will conclude with Kaddish. So the word Kaddish means holy or sacred. The etymology literally means set apart, which I think gives you a pretty strong indication of the theology of those ancient Judeans, right? They saw themselves as separate, and they created an entire religion based on their separateness. Xenophobia be damned. Racism be damned. Doesn't matter if in 2023 that creates an apartheid state. No, we're going to be set apart. That's what holiness is. You label it as separate and special. But that is what holiness is, right? Like, whether or not that implies racism, you know, holiness basically means everything that is only special. Set apart. So we say Kaddish to remember those who are separated from us, right? Those who are gone. We remember our grief and we acknowledge it together because grief is an emotion that needs to be processed together. We can't deal with grief alone. It's not possible. Simply not possible. I mean, maybe it is. I don't know. I don't think it's possible for me. Try not to say universalizing things. So, for the last 2,500 years, give or take, my ancestors have said these words in response to death, and we will say them again today. Yidgadal v'yidgadash Shema Rabbah. B'yama divrachir teviam lichmal chutei b'chayachon of yomechon of chayedi kol beit Yisrael b'agala v'zman karif yimru. Amen. Yehi Shema Rabbah meva'arach li'alam amei amayach. Yitbarach v'ishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shema d'kudesh ha'parechu leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushvechata v'nechemata demiran b'yama v'imru. Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabbah min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yachol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom v'imramav huya aseh shalom aleinu v'yachol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom v'imramav huya aseh shalom aleinu v'yachol Yisrael v'imru v'imru. Amen. And with that, we conclude for another Wednesday. Another day like all the other days. Not set apart. I'll be here tomorrow. You're very welcome, Sarah. Thank you for your company. I really appreciate it. I will be here tomorrow to say these words yet again. And until then, we can chat on Discord. Check out the link in my bio if you want to join the Discord server. You can also support this stream either by subscribing on Patreon or leaving a one-time tip on TikTok or on Koji. Yeah, and until tomorrow morning, where we start this whole cycle yet again, have a lovely day, and I wish you well. Wow, thanks for the moon and the stars, Rain. The meteor shower, lovely. Yeah, I really hope somebody follows you up on that. I do not have the time to make paper with you. I'm sorry. But I hope somebody else... you're gonna... Sarah's teaching a paper making workshop on Discord. You should go listen to her crazy paper tie-dyeing. It's great. I will see you tomorrow, Joanna. Have a lovely day. Okay. Farewell. Bye.